Hi and welcome. I'm Alison Beer from alisonbeer.com, where I work with people, mostly adults, who are looking to live light-hearted, re-engage their creativity and learn to draw cartoons. This is Q&A Saturday and I'm so happy to have you with me. Last week, if you were watching, you remember I had a question from DSA outlining a whole load of her frustrations, and we tackled how to draw a bus. This week we're looking at how to draw cars. So here we are to start drawing a car. And remember I said last time, always use a reference, especially if you're drawing something for the very first time, and then trace it very roughly to get the proportions and the shapes and see how they relate to each other. So here we have this grand rectangle for the side of the car, and then a couple of circles to fill in for each tire. On top of each circle, we need another circle to show the hubcap. And then on top of the hubcap, we draw in that crisscross pattern for the mag wheels in this particular car. Once we've got the wheels in place, it's time to look at the doors because they relate so nicely to the wheels. So the back door always has a chunk cut out of it where it goes round the back wheel arch. Otherwise, it's pretty rectangular. The front door, just a straight rectangle, doesn't go as far as the front wheel, and they sit snugly together. Then the windows, which match the doors for width, so it's a good thing to start after the doors with the windows, so that you can make sure that the proportions are correct. Then the curve that goes all the way over the top and down to the bonnet. Very, very roughly, we're just looking at proportion. We fill in a couple of details for the lights and the door handles, and now it's time to see, can we just sketch it out super roughly for ourselves? So there I'm measuring out the height and the width of that big rectangle. And here we go again with the grand rectangle. You can see immediately I haven't made it quite high enough, but we're just working roughly. We want to be able to sketch very roughly the shapes that we used before and see if we can come up with something that looks kind of like a car. And so here we go, wheel tires, hubcaps, crisscross pattern for the mags. And now it's time to move on to the shapes we remember using for the doors. So back door first, because of course it has that cutout bit where it goes round the back wheel arch, across to almost halfway to the front. And now time for the front door, just a rectangle which doesn't go as far as the front wheel. Up to put in the shape of our windows, which match in width the doors below them. There we go, we've got our windows. Not perfect, but we're working fast and roughly, and that's all we need to do. Now the curve of the top of the car, going over and down to join the bonnet. Fill in the headlight, tail light, the line that goes across the bottom of the car between the front wheels, and there we have it. Now we look at drawing it from an angle, and that really means we need a box, a somewhat curved box, but a box nevertheless, on the front of the car. And there you see the box for the bonnet and the front, and then we go back to our trusty rectangle which forms the side of the car. The grand rectangle, and then again a circle for the hubcap, a circle for the tire, a circle for the wheel arch. Hubcap, tire, part circle for the wheel arch, and then of course don't forget the parts of the tires that you can actually see because we're looking slightly side on, and the tires slightly obscured behind the car. Then we look at the doors again. The front door, just a rectangle. The back door curving around the wheel arch as it did before. Handles, and then we have the curve of the car coming up and through to the front. Now this is the tricky part, the strange angles of the windscreen and then the part of the roof that you can see. Then we come to fill in the windows, front window, back window, matching the width of the doors as we saw before. Then we put in the headlights, the tail lights, there's the nice license plate, and finally the grille on the front. And if we take away the car behind, we can see we've got a very rough car, so our proportions are pretty much there. Now it's time to see, can we reproduce this? And of course this is a whole lot trickier than just tracing it. But there's our box for the hood of the car, and now it's time for the rectangle. making up the side of the car. So here we go with a rectangle, working very, very, very roughly. Just again, getting proportions, putting the car together. We need the wheels, hubcap, tyre, wheel arch, and part of the wheel that we can see, the tyre that we can see, hubcap, tyre, wheel arch again, and part of the tyre that we can see. Then we've got the tyre partially obscured on that side, tiny bit of tyre, fourth tyre at the back there. And now, of course, it's time to put in the doors. Front door, just a rectangle. Back door with a chunk taken out to go around the wheel arch. And we have to do the curve. Now this is tricky and it will be super, super rough, but it'll be close enough to be able to correct it later. So there we have that rather strange set of lines for the top of the car. Time to put in the windows. And there we have it. Time for headlights, license plate, grille, mirror, tail plate, tail light, and there you have your car. The essay, that was my answer to your how do I draw a car question, and I hope you find it helpful. Of course, I will be tackling expressions for you and for others next week. I have so many questions that people have asked me about expressions, so do stay tuned. Did you like this video? If you did, I would absolutely love it if you liked it on YouTube and shared it with all of your friends. And of course, if you would like even more lessons and tips that I only share on email, head on over to my website, www.alisonbeer.com, and sign up on the homepage for email updates. Keep going for it, keep practicing, because you know how it goes. Some days are good, some days are better, and every day you make some progress. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Q&A Saturday.